But don't forget, although the Southern Approach heading reported by the NTSB does match with what was reported by the 9/11 Commission, the final altitude reported was 699 feet above sea level, making the final descent and pull-up to hit the light poles and be low in level as shown in the Department of Defense 2006 release security video physically impossible. Number 3. The physical damage, starting with the down light poles as depicted by defense contractor Integrated Consultants and officially endorsed on the State Department website usinfo.state.gov. The plane has to fly directly over the bridge in this exact trajectory in order to hit the light poles. Light pole 1 on the south edge of the bridge allegedly speared the windshield of Lloyd England's taxicab. Light pole 2 on the north edge of the bridge was hidden on a steep hill in the bushes, completely unnoticeable to passing motorists. Light pole 3 was off to the side in the median of a cloverleaf exit ramp. Light pole 4 was concealed on a decline with a guardrail in front of it. Light pole 5 was also concealed on a decline. So the exact location of the light poles is only acknowledged by corporate proxy, as they have failed to address this in any official report. In fact, the Virginia Department of Transportation is in control of light pole maintenance, and when asked via Freedom of Information Act requests, they denied having any documentation as to the exact location of the poles that were allegedly downed on 9/11 and later replaced. The reason the exact location of the downed light poles and taxicab is so important is because it establishes the required location and trajectory of the plane down to the foot. Even a minor deviation in approach would have left one or some of the light poles untouched and resulted in a different damage pattern. Despite a clear effort by the officials to not report on the light poles and keep the specific details ambiguous, their exact location has been independently established by the photographic evidence, as just demonstrated by defense contractor Integrated Consultants, and further demonstrated by this image taken before the attacks in May of 2000, showing pole numbers 1 and 2 intact on either side of the bridge. In this image from 9/11, both poles are downed. These 2 poles on the bridge in particular are the most important of the 5 because they were the furthest south, making it physically impossible for them to be downed by any type of aircraft at all approaching from the north side of the gas station, as reported by all the known witnesses in this critical area. Number 4. The officially commissioned Building Performance Report by the American Society of Civil Engineers. They published the following images depicting a southern approach angle of the plane. But the true purpose of this report was to document the damage to the building. They covered each and every damaged column and depicted the overall damage as being directional, exclusively requiring the depicted southern approach angle of the plane as referenced in all official data and reports and published in these images. Note the definitive trajectory of the damage to the building depicted. Starting with the anomalous alleged impact into the outer facade of the building's E-ring, ending with the curious, almost perfectly round alleged exit hole in the C-ring. The ASCE also established the required low and level impact into the bottom floor of the building. They reported on page 28, quote, "The aircraft seems for the most part to have slipped between the first floor slab, on grade, and the second floor." Note how they depict more than half of the left engine burrowing into the foundation that photographic evidence shows was left undamaged. Yet they didn't depict or report any foundation damage. The required low and level first floor impact was also depicted in a project published by Purdue University. Note how they avoided the problem caused by the low-hanging engines of the plane by simply not including them in the animation at all. The plane absolutely has to be south of the Navy Annex, south of the gas station, and directly over the Route 27 overpass bridge to hit the light poles and cause the low and level directional damage to the building as documented and reported. There is no room for error in the official flight path at all, so these critical details should have been easily confirmed by the witnesses. But as you are about to see for yourself, they independently and unanimously reported the opposite, proving the plane could not have caused the physical damage. Virtually all of the following first-hand witness accounts were video recorded on location, and they have been categorized into 5 separate and opposing vantage points. Many of these same witnesses were officially recorded by the Center for Military History or the Library of Congress only weeks after the event, placing the plane in the same location. This eliminates the notion that their accounts are inaccurate from faded memory due to the amount of time between the event and their recorded independent interviews a few years later. The independent interviews in this presentation have been edited for conciseness, but the complete interviews, as well as the transcripts and recordings of all referenced official interviews, are available to view for free at citizeninvestigationteam.com. Vantage point number 1, from the south side of the Navy Annex. Edward Paik, auto mechanic, independent interview recorded November 4th, 2006.
It almost hit these roofs over here.
Yeah.
So we saw it fly. It was coming from
Like
this
way, coming from there to this way.
Okay.
And then at the time, feeling it looks like it almost hit my roof, that much lower. Kind of the body side over the building, and the wing is this way.
Oh, so you're saying the body was over the building?
Yeah, little over here. The body is stand over body here.
Okay. Body's there. Okay.
The wing is right wing. That's the direction.
All of Ed's illustrations have the entire plane crossing to the north side of Columbia Pike, headed directly over the Navy Annex. All animations of witness vantage points were created by pilots for 9/11 Truth for their presentation 9/11 Attack on the Pentagon, and are based off a hypothetical average of all witness illustrations reported. This is a reconstruction of what Ed describes. Note how the aircraft continues directly over the Navy Annex as illustrated by Edward. If the aircraft were on the south path, as required by the physical damage and official data, this is what Ed would have seen from his position. Ed does not describe anything as such, and has the entire plane on the north side of Columbia Pike, and directly over the Navy Annex, where it was picked up by the next witness, who is an aviator, adding professional credibility to his account. Terry Morin, Program Manager for Sparta Inc. at the Navy Annex. Independent interview recorded June 8th, 2008.
The bottom line is, I was an aviator. I know what an airplane is. I can tell you one thing. There was one of the conspiracy articles, had, it was about 737s. And I will admit that I made a mistake on ID in the airplane. And the reason is because it flew right over the top of me. It's not like...
Right over the top of you. Now, were you between the wings of the Navy Annex or out on the...
I was right at the edge of being on the outer portion, okay? So when the plane went right over the top of me, I was within 10 feet of the edge. I was inside, flew over the top of me, okay? And which is like, it's right on the edge and I'm right here, okay? I then, because I'd already heard about the Twin Towers,
sure.
immediately